My name's Fiona, and I'm part of the Beta Change team, and I'm so excited to invite one of our heroes in the diabetes world, Mr. Joe Solowiejczyk. Welcome, Joe.
Hi, it's great to be here with you, Faith.
Joe is the author of a T1D Guide to the Universe, and I might have marked that up, Joe, so I'll get you to say that again.
I'll say it again, yes.
So I was credentialed diabetes educator and family therapist. Joe, it is so awesome to have you here today.
It is so awesome to be
much.
had by you, yes.
Joe, can you tell us a little bit about your journey and how it all started with diabetes?
Yeah, I've had diabetes this year will be 57 years, and I can tell you this is that there's not one day in the last 57 years that I got up and said, yippee, I can't wait to take care of my diabetes, you know? I don't like having diabetes. I do love being alive, but I think having diabetes sucks. It's a pain in the neck. You have to just do it day in, day out, whether you want to or not. And even if you're not taking care of yourself, you know what you're not doing. It's difficult. So it's been a long journey. I got it when I was 7 and went to the hospital. And then my parents were really great about looking for the best care possible. They took me to the Joslin Clinic in Boston, where Elliot Joslin, who was the first doctor one of the first doctors in the United States to administer insulin, had a clinic that he set up to teach patients how to manage themselves. And having had that experience actually has brought me to this part of my journey, which is that my understanding and first experience of living with diabetes was that it shouldn't stop you from doing anything. And that the patient should learn as much or more than the healthcare providers, because we're the ones who live with it. So those diabetes nurse educators and the doctors there at the Joslin Clinic ended up inspiring me. And I think, I became a nurse and a family therapist. And for me, it's been like the St. Francis prayer. It is in giving that we receive. It is in loving that we are loved. And I believe it is in healing that we are healed. For me, that certainly is the truth. So that's sort of my journey in a nutshell.
Yeah. I love it. And I love that nothing should stop you with diabetes. And I think that's absolutely true.
Yes.
Now, we're so lucky today. We've got our Facebook audience that is joining us, or our Better Change family, as I like to call it. So guys out there, we would love this to be interactive. So if you're able to send us a question, tell us about your stories, just comment in the Facebook section, on your comment section. Joe, I believe you've got a special shout out that you'd like to do as well.
Yeah, before we really get started, I want to give a shout out to some home slices of mine. And there's Reese, Lisa, and Brendan Cameron, who are real home slices of mine. But then there's like uber, super duper, totally beyond home slice. And that would be Lily Cameron. She's my super duper uber inspiration. A home slice. I just want to say, hey guys, love you, miss you.
I love it. I love it. So, Joe, I made mention initially that you've written this amazing book.
Thank you.
And which is fantastic. And I must admit, as a person with diabetes, but also a diabetes educator, it is absolutely, it's a gem. What inspires you to write the book, and why the title?
So a type 1 diabetes, I'll start with the second question second, and then I'll do what inspired me. So the title is about that. A type 1 diabetes guide to the universe is that the world is yours. Even though you have diabetes does not mean that it should mean that you should get the message that it shouldn't stop you from doing anything, that the universe is yours, that you take your diabetes with you as you unfold, as you would have unfolded even if you didn't have diabetes, into the universe, your universe. So it's really the messages to all the kids and families and adults is about unfolding into your life and creating your life as you would have had it, and then fitting diabetes into it. That was the reason why I called it a type 1 diabetes guide to the universe. I imagine all of these astronauts out there, kids, sort of finding their universes. That's the picture in my head when I think about the title of them all, landing on the moon, going to Mars, this kind of stuff, but finding their worlds and unfolding into them in such a way that they can craft their diabetes management to make sure that it's their way. In the United States, Burger King had a an ad campaign that says, have it your way, you know? So that would be it. Have it your way. That's the sort of reason for the title. And it's got 5.5 hours of video from kids and families from all around the world sharing their experience, strength, and hope. The inspiration for the book was my late mentor and guru, and he was sort of like a father figure to me, Lester Baker, a pediatric endocrinologist who always kept on telling me, Joe, you got to write a book. You got to write a book. You got to write a book. Well, before I retire, which might be in a few years from now, I said I have to write the book. Otherwise, Lester's ghost will haunt me forever. So I wrote the book with Lester on my shoulder the entire time. It's not my favorite task, typing and writing, but 8 to 10 hours a day, doing the video, blah, 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 kicking out. And Lester was always there going, hey, you got to finish the book. You promised me. So that was the inspiration.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Now, just as you were talking there, we had some other families giving a shout out. I think you've got a few more home slices that are that are dropping in, which is awesome. So thanks so much, Denise, and a big shout out from Joe and I to you guys as well.
Big hugs.
So, Joe, I know you're a really big believer that diabetes doesn't just affect the child or the teen, that it affects the whole family. Can you tell us a little bit about that and the reasoning behind it as well?
Yeah. So, as with anything in life, if you live in a family, whatever happens to you happens to everybody else in a sort of kind of different way. So my brothers didn't experience my diabetes the same way that I did, but they were impacted by it. And the bottom line is that my specialty is linking how families communicate and love and support each other to how children take care of themselves. It's the messages that the parents give about what constitutes right behavior. And it's those messages and those communications in the family, whether it's about taking the garbage out, the rubbish out, doing your homework, going to school on time, it doesn't matter. But how the parents make the rules have everything to do with how the kids do. It should be the same thing with diabetes. All of this sort of arm around the shoulder, one up for the gipper to the teens who are not taking care of themselves, I think is silly. I'm not above doing that. I love it. But if you ask me where I would get the most bang for my buck, if it was a teenager that wasn't taking care of themselves, I would say send me their parents. Kids don't have problems. They have parents. And they bring their parents in for therapy all the time. So if you're not working with the parents, you're missing a critical piece. I'll tell you a joke and you'll get what I'm talking about. Two guys are talking with each other and one guy says to the other, I got a big problem. The other guy goes, what's your problem? He goes, well, my brother, he thinks he's a chicken. The other guy goes, your brother thinks he's a chicken. Today, that's not such a big problem. You take your brother who thinks he's a chicken, take him to a doctor called a psychiatrist. Psychiatrist talks to him, gives him some pills, talk pills, sends him home, tells him to come back in 5 weeks. More talk, more pills. In 6 months, your brother's cured. The other guy goes, I'd love to do it, but I can't. He goes, what do you mean you can't? He goes, I can't. I need the eggs. There you go. So that's the bottom line. You know what I mean? Kids do well. Why do most parents, when they bring their kids to diabetes holiday camp, summer camp, why do they say to the counselor, do you have this camp for a whole year? Because kids in diabetes camp do well. The counselors don't put up with it. You have to do what you have to do. In families, depending on how the parents have coped with the diagnosis, which I think a lot of times is harder for them than it is for the kids. What I mean by that is that as a parent, you are faced with having to come to terms with a profound and deep psychological, emotional, and spiritual experience of powerlessness. At the very least, your job as a parent is to protect your child from any harm. When your child gets diagnosed, you realize that you have quote unquote failed in that job description, in that chore. And what ends up happening is a feeling of profound powerlessness. That affects everybody in the family. And how the family dances around that challenge, if they look it square in the eye and fall apart, only to be reborn into unfolding in a healthier, more positive and stronger way, then the kids do well. If they get stuck in the emergency department and they never leave there, but they're out of the emergency department, but emotionally they're still there, then the kids tend not to do so well. So it's definitely a family thing. And they did a study about 35 years ago, 36 years ago, at Children's Hospital in Philadelphia, and they wanted to see what were the most statistically significant predictor of what a kid's hemoglobin A1C would be a year after diagnosis. They looked at locus of control, self-esteem, how they feel, did a family test, all this kind of stuff. Out of all the things that they looked at, the thing that was most statistically significant predictor of what a kid's hemoglobin A1C would be a year after diagnosis was the mother's subjective sense of how supported she felt as a wife, a woman, and a mother by the other family members. That's powerful. That doesn't mean that it's the mother's fault. It just means that she's an accurate indicator of how things are going at home.
Absolutely. Look, I totally agree with you in every level of that. It's interesting. When I first meet a family, the first thing I always say to them is, this is not your fault. This is nobody's fault. It's not what you fed them. It's not what they watch TV. It's just bad luck.
Yes.
And the other thing I say, and I think you taught me this actually, was that the dreams of yesterday, so the dreams before diagnosis, are still the dreams of today.
Yes.
And I think that's just so very important. So, Joe, knowing that the anxiety for families and for parents is so much prevalent, or the prevalence is so high, what tips would you have to help families or help parents that are feeling that anxiety related to their child being diagnosed with type 1 diabetes?
They should just give in to it. Many parents feel like if they break down that they'll never recover. So I always think that having a session with the parents without the kids there sometimes and helping them to feel horrible and break down and cry is a successful session. Any idiot can keep it locked up. It does not take much courage to do that. It takes more courage to let it out and just fall apart and break down. That's why support between spouses is important. Or if you're a single parent, it's important for you to have some kind of support system in place that allows you to collapse as an adult into the other person's arms, knowing that you will be held and knowing that your falling apart will make you stronger, not weaker. The message you have to give to your kid is that we're not going to let this beat us, and we're going to do everything in our power. The more we know, the more you can do. We're going to do everything in our power to make sure that your life is as quote unquote normal as your life would have been in terms of quality, in terms of activities, in terms of adventures. I've traveled around the world 3 times. I lived in the desert with the Bedouin for 6 months at a time. I go rock climbing, cycling. I just finished the triathlon, the first one in my entire life. And it's like, you could do whatever you want. I didn't really want to do the triathlon, but I just thought I had to get that on a notch. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's doing them this day, and I sort of felt left out. So I said, all right, you better do one. So, but it was good. And managing my diabetes helped me in my training, because I know that I can hate it and piss and moan about it and still do it at the same time. They're not mutually exclusive states. And I encourage the parents who need to come to terms with falling apart. You can hate it. And if your kids say they hate it, then you're doing a great job. If you think that your kids are supposed to say, I love this and I'm at one and at peace from a Buddha perspective of having this disease, I'm a better person, but you're nuts, smoke another bowl. That's not the way to go. The way to go is to be real, 3-dimensional, and fall apart. I hate this and do it at the same time, just like paying taxes.
I love that. I often say to kids and families that I work with that if they wake up one morning and they go, oh my gosh, I love diabetes, that's what I call urgent. They need urgent help, and I have to get onto it ASAP.
Yes, totally. Yeah, totally. Yes, absolutely. I agree. Yes, that's what we're talking about. Yeah. You don't have to like it, you just have to do it. But I will tell you this, that in the doing it comes the knowledge. It's not a head game. The knowledge is very visceral. And in the doing it, there is a tremendous sense of accomplishment and pride in self-efficacy and in feeling like, you know what? I hate this thing and I'm doing my best every day. You don't have to look perfect every day, but you have to give it your best. There are days when I'm falling apart couple of weeks ago, I had like 3 or 4 days where no matter what I did, I couldn't get it right. I was just too low, too high, too this. And I have a sensor and a pump and a blah and a blah and 57 years of experience behind me and stuff like that. This disease is humbling. If you think you're smart, it'll make you feel stupid very often. And we have to laugh at that, just like we did just now. And we have to say, that's how it is. Get back in, get back in. And we are all here for each other. That's what this thing is about today. You know, I'm feeling good today. Somebody else might be not feeling so great, you know. That's why it's important for us to be there for each other, to share our experience, strength, and hope, so that when one of us feels like we're lagging or feels sad or go with it, you know. And you'll know that you probably won't stay in that stage, but to acknowledge and to honor your feelings. You know, for me, it's like the thing about getting depressed. I schedule my diabetes depression days. I used to get pissed off about like it would hit me out of nowhere. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to get the jump on this and schedule my diabetes depression day. I call my friends. I say, next Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., I'm going to be depressed about having diabetes. I want you to call me every hour and tell me how courageous and inspiring I am. They go, but Joe, you're telling us to. I said, if you want to stay on the A-list, call, you know. And then I go out and I buy 2 pints of Ben & Jerry's ice cream, and I line up 5 tragically romantic. I line up 5 tragically romantic DVDs, you know. And that's the bottom line. That's what I got to do. And then my friends call me. My girlfriend comes in and she goes, oh, poor Joey, you know, which finger would you like to do it in? I said, oh, my pinky. You got to turn the whole thing upside down. You got to make it into a sad thing. And then, you know, it goes on like that. You know, I call into work, of which I'm very proud of. I used to think that I couldn't say that I was having a hard day. And I've come to realize that if I'm not having a hard day from time to time, I don't have diabetes. So
true.
I was calling. I said, listen, I'm not doing so well. I'll see you guys tomorrow. They say, okay, cool. We'll see you tomorrow. I said, well, if maybe I might need to take 1 extra day. We'll see, you know, that kind of thing, right? And that's how it goes. You know, you just turn it upside down. You got to take something very serious and make it stupid, silly. This works for me. I would say take your blood sugar meter, as long as it doesn't have your like pump controls in it. Stick it under the passenger rear tire of the car, and drive over it slowly several times. You know what I mean? Yeah, just so that you get a feel for who's in charge. You know, just something crazy and stupid. Take a hammer, take a pogo stick, whatever, smash the smithereens, you know, that kind of thing. Whatever you need to do to stay in the game. And it doesn't have to be serious. It doesn't have to be talking with a psychologist. It can be just like, you know, just be upfront. Your feelings are your feelings. There are no bad feelings. If you're feeling sad or angry or upset, you're right on schedule.
Love it. I absolutely love it. Actually, Joe, you have made every shopping experience make me smile, because we've just got Ben & Jerry's in Australia in the last probably 18 months. And as I walk by,
Civilized,
even if I'm having a bad day.
Finally civilized. Yes. You're not a penal colony anymore.
As I walk by, I could be having a terrible day, and I just laugh because I think, oh, I need to buy some of the ice cream.
Yeah, totally. Yes, for your diabetes depression, your diabetes duvet day. Yes. That's how you go. You go with this. You roll with it. You fall down, you pick yourself up. You fall down, you pick yourself up. You do your best. You don't beat yourself up for not better, you know. And like, it's hard. You go to sleep at night, your blood sugar is like 5.2. You wake up in the morning and it's like 13.8. And you go, what the heck? You know. Well, on the nights where I've had a bad hypo in the middle of the night and I had 5 bowls of Captain Crunch cereal, I know why it's 13.8. Do you know what I mean? That didn't come out of nowhere, right? But there are some nights when I go to bed and it's 6.1 and I wake up and it's 15 point something. I said, what did I do? Dream of pizza? You know? It's like, whoa, okay, that's the humbling part. The thing is, you don't necessarily have to have the answer about what happened, but you do have to know how to fix it and move on. It's hard sometimes. Yeah.
I love that. And I've just seen that Ben & Jerry's ice cream sales in Australia are going up because Lily's going to go and buy some. So
Excelente. Totally cool. Fudge swirl and chocolate chip cookie dough, my dear.
So can you say those favorite flavors again?
Fudge swirl
Yeah.
and chocolate chip cookie dough.
Okay. And one of the Beta Change team is just saying that Woolworths stock them. So there you go, guys. You can go out and buy some Ben and Jerry's.
Excellent. And then call me to be on your list of people that call. Because what ends up happening when I tell my friends to call, they call during the diabetes duvet day, and I'm watching the movie and all this kind of shit. And they go, "Hey, Joe, listen, it's Susan and Bob. We just called to tell you how courageous and inspiring you are." I say, "Thank you, thank you. Listen, call me back in an hour. I just started the movie, and tell me that again." Hello. You just gotta, whatever you can do to make it happen. Yeah. And you gotta laugh at how stupid it is. Sometimes you just gotta break down and cry. It's like, shit. There's nothing. What can you do? Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And I love how you identify the tribe is in our go-to word that we use. I think our tribe, it's so important that it's okay to say, you know what? We do have crap days, but we just got to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Or not, or just like, sometimes if I see a high blood sugar, I'll purposely eat like some lollies or something like that. You know what I mean? It's like, I know it's not a nice thing, but it's like, F you, it's like, just leave me alone kind of thing. And then I get over it and I'm back in my normal game, but it's like, sometimes it's not pretty. Speaking of not pretty, I just wanted to talk about my tips to parents of teenagers.
Yes.
All right. Because that's not pretty. And I'm not dissing any of the teenagers that are listening, because if you guys are listening, then you're not the ones I'm talking about. But the devil will take your child when they become a teenager with diabetes. And you have to stay in charge as a parent. No negotiating, no that. Here are 3 rules of managing teenagers with diabetes. And if you follow these 3 rules, you will have no problem. Rule number 1. Taking care of yourself is non-negotiable. You have to do it. You have to do the checks. You have to write the numbers down, although now with all the electronic stuff. But you should write it down from time to time so that you own the process and that you own the numbers and the data, right? And then you have to bolus before you eat. I can't tell you how many kids say, "Oh, it's like I forgot to bolus." Oh, excuse me, wait a second. You have memorized the cell phone numbers of your 40,000 closest friends and you know exactly where they are all day, but you forgot to bolus. That, to me, is not a head thing. That is a priority issue. Parents need to make the priority, all right? So that's rule number 1. Taking care of yourself is non-negotiable. Not how many blood sugars would you like to do. If you ask me how many blood sugars I would like to do or how many times I would like to bolus, I would say never. As a parent, do not ask stupid questions. All right? So, rule number 2. You don't have to like it. You just have to do it. If you like it, you're nuts and you need medication. That's rule number 2. And rule number 3 is the most important one for the parents and the most helpful, is treating diabetes mismanagement as any other act of misbehavior. Now, I know a lot of people will think, well, Joe, your President Trump is a fascist pig. And now you sound a little bit like a fascist pig as well. You know what I mean? How can we punish Susie for having diabetes? You're not. You're holding her to the same standard of behavior that you hold her to regarding going to school, doing her chores, doing her homework. Diabetes should be put in the same category. So that's how you do it. Yeah. And the kids will say, "That's not fair." And you say, "You're right. It is not fair." No arguing, no discussing. And you say, "If you'd like not to lose any privileges next week, come talk to your dad and me. We're here as your on-site consultants. If you want to tell us about how much you hate this disease, we're happy to hear, but not when you do it with your body and you don't do what you're supposed to do."
Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely love every single one of them.
Thank you.
And you've just explained to me why when I grow up, I want to be just like you. So
you're sweet. Really, you already are sweet. That's why we love each other.
It's just so awesome. So, Joe, if I was 14 years of age and I'm not bolusing or I'm not giving my injections at lunch every day, what's something that you would say to one of the parents? about that.
Yeah, I would say to the parents, I say, listen, I don't blame them. Who likes this shit? You know, do you like having diabetes? No, I hate it. I said, me too. Nobody likes it, but you have to do it. And I would just tell the parents, I would say, listen, you need to tell your child that they're expected to do these many checks. They have to do these many boluses before. They have to blah, blah, blah. For every time that you don't do it, you lose 30 minutes of electronics. For every time you commit a dietary indiscretion and don't bolus, you lose a night out with your friends. And if you really want to get serious here, just forget to bolus a couple of times and there'll be no rugby practice for you. I hate you. You're stupid. And then the parents just say back to the kid like this, listen, sweetheart, it's clear that your father and I hate you and that we hated you before you were born. And that's why we gave you diabetes and not your sister. Now, you need to do that and that's it. See you later, alligator. Or in Australia, crocodile.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love it. I totally love it. And I hear myself often having you on my shoulder as I talk like that at work as well.
Sweet.
Now, Joe, as we'll be closing in the next few minutes, something I'd really love to ask you. If you had a chance to talk to your 14-year-old self, what would you tell them about the 50-plus journey that they had ahead? Or it wasn't probably 50 years from 14, but what would you say about the decades of the journey that they had ahead?
I would say, Joe, be more fiscally responsible. I'm joking. But I would say that. I would say, don't forget to do that. I would just say, listen, dude, it's going to be rough and it's going to be tough, but you can do it. You got all the support that you need now. Don't give up and keep on doing what you're doing. You know, I don't think I've changed that much since I've been a teenager in terms of living with it. I think the one piece that I did change that I would tell that 14-year-old Joe would be that it's okay to break down and say you're having a hard time. It took me 18 years to realize that. And it was extremely difficult coming to terms with that. That would be the thing that I would share. I would say, dude, you're no less a man. You're no less of a human being. You're no less of a person with diabetes if you admit that it's hard. You can be vulnerable and be strong at the same time.
Love that. That's so cool.
Sweet.
So cool. So to everybody out there watching, if you got any questions, if you want to put them up, we'd love to answer them for you. Is there anything coming? Maybe not. So, Joe, just very quickly, do you have any tips that if anybody is finding something difficult, is there something you do? Is it a meditation? Is it
Yes.
You like to go for a run? If someone's finding something tough, such as doing a line change or giving an injection because their pump's broken down, they haven't done one for 10 years.
Yeah.
Have you got like a one-off tip that you would use that they could add to their strategies?
Yeah, I break down and I cry, and then I just put it aside and say I'll come back to it later. And then I talk with my friends about what's going on, if it's real anxiety about something. It's like I got some lab results recently that were a little difficult to take in, and I was pretty terrified, and it's okay now, but during the time I was thinking the worst in terms of my kidneys, and I felt very vulnerable and very scared, and I just reached out to some close friends and talked with them about it. If I'm anxious about something as a child, I would ask me as the diabetes educator, what's the family's take on diabetes and how are they and what are they most upset about and anxious about? And I would try and get to the bottom of that. And then just be gentle with yourself. You know, try and do your best and just be gentle with yourself and give it your best shot.
I think that's fantastic advice, and a question actually just came in about that as well at the same time. Joe, it has been absolutely an incredible privilege and honour to have you on today. and to
It's
hear your
mutual.
amazing story.
It's totally mutual. It's so nice to be interviewed by a fellow pilgrim.
Look, I think everybody would agree. It's not only been inspiring, it's been thought-provoking, but I almost feel like I've got the biggest warm hug, and that I feel that in the whole in our whole community, this big warm hug that is going out there.
Totally.
So thank you so much. Look, for everybody out there, if you want to hear more of Joe or you want to read more about his tips, please go to, now, Joe, make sure I'm sending people to the right store. The App Store, is that right?
You can go to the iTunes store.
iTunes Store, awesome.
And
so
buy
what happens when iTunes closes later this year? Will there be another alternative?
To wherever whatever it is.
Sure.
Yeah, totally. And if not, just call me. And you can call me if you want. We can talk. FaceTime. Yes, totally.
So the shout out to the true name of that book. Do you want to give it? You'll be able to say it the best.
A T1 Diabetes Guide to the Universe.
Awesome. Now, I also believe you're heading to Ireland in October, so those Irish friends of ours can join you over there, I believe.
Yes. Yep. I'll be there at Thriveabetes, October 19th. I think it's just outside of Dublin. And then just doing a couple of JDRF presentations here in the States, in Las Vegas, and something for educators in Montana in February. Yeah.
Awesome.
Just give me a call.
Look, once again, thank you so very much.
You're so welcome. Diabetes strong.
To all of you out there, if you want to stay in touch, please through Facebook, Twitter for up-to-date dates.
My Facebook page is a Type 1 Diabetes Guide to the Universe.
Oh, awesome. So Type 1 Diabetes Guide to the Universe is the Facebook page, website for Joe. Beta Change, Facebook, Twitter, we're all there. Guys, thank you so very much. Have a wonderful day, and remember to keep a dream in your pocket.
And may the force be with you.